What's going on, everybody? Welcome to tonight's broadcast of the ACL. We are here with our final week. It's week number 6. We do have games today. We have more games on Monday to finish qualifying up everybody. So kind of cheating to say that it is the last week. It's not the last stream of the regular season,
Yeah.
but we are here on the last week, ready to check out who is going to be making these last couple of playoff spots. And we're going to start things off right here, right now, on the main stream, where we are going to be checking on out Mint Gaming versus Next Level Esports, two teams that have had some tumultuous journeys throughout the league so far, both of whom find themselves at 3-2, looking to qualify for the playoffs. It would be a first playoffs, I believe, for both of these orgs in the ACL.
Yeah, it would be the first time for both of these both of these orgs. Teams, not necessarily because we don't know, like
Some players
the
have, some players haven't.
Yeah, exactly. Some players probably have already, but it's like you're mentioning, a tumultuous road. They are here for a reason. They will be able to qualify if they win here, but they have had some losses here and there, and also it's important to see if they are picking up their form at the right time, because there's always the measure where you start winning from the start and then you kind of fall off when you need to get those victories at the end, and you start losing and then you end up getting the victories later on and you're able to qualify. So I want to see if either of these teams is going to be facing something similar, but I feel like in terms of firepower, or in terms of like power levels between both of them, I'm kind of feeling both of them being quite close. Realistically, I don't think there's like a big edge on either side.
Yeah, I would agree at the beginning of the season. We'll get into the rosters because NLE has had some changes. Let's start off
Fair
with
enough.
Mint Gaming, though. Mint Gaming. Oh, no, we're going to start off with NLE. All right. No, there we go. Okay. Mint Gaming. Mint Gaming. Mint Gaming is Ariana a bit bad. That's Ginkle in the mid lane, Verticality, and PVS from top to bottom. Bit bad been with this team the whole season as well, was going by Theatrics for a bit at the beginning of the season. So these are the same 5 players that have been on the roster all season long, and it's been a team that's really been all about playing through Ariana on these really strong carry top lane picks.
Yeah, trying to go for the top lane picks that can work out as effectively as possible. We do know that they are probably going to look to try and put as many members as possible up there and try and get that sort of lead. That being said, there's also different ways to make it work out in different places. I think Verticality is one of those players that probably doesn't get as much attention as he probably would deserve, but I think he's a really, really good and serviceable lady carry. And then Ginga on the mid lane, I think that as a complement for the team works out really, really well.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. So going to be representing the blue side in game number 1, we believe. Now, moving on to Next Level Esports, their opponents on the day who've made some changes more recently in the mid lane. It is Fiji, Kitsuo, Robbie Bob, Sagewabe, and Al Calamity from top to bottom. Previously, we're running Tooth Booth in mid lane and have swapped around at jungle a little bit. Kitsuo was back in
Yep.
last week, has been their original starting jungler, but they spent some time with Dredo and they spent some time with another jungler whose name I will not mention on broadcast unless forced to.
Okay, fair. You know what? Fair enough. I think it's totally understandable that. But
You
all
can
in
look
all,
down
like,
at the substitute list and figure
yeah,
that
you
out.
can look at the list. It's completely fine. But this team, like you're mentioning, probably when it's start to finish of the split, probably makes a lot of sense why the comparison now falls a little bit maybe more in favor of NLE. I still believe that they are probably not. There's probably not that big of a difference, just because I need to see them like execute on this yet. Like, we have had teams that have great names, but name value alone didn't carry them so far. So we need to see that on NLE, and if they are able to pull it off here, they can maybe jump even a few steps upwards and begin to be put into certain conversations. Because obviously, Robbie Bob, Sagewabe, Kitsu, if he plays, these players know what they are capable of doing, and we know what they are capable of doing as well.
Yeah, funny enough, the last team that comes to mind when we talk about, teams that have real big name value but maybe struggle to actually get into the ACL playoffs, it was Peak Performers last split, which is another Kitsuo, Robbie
Yep.
Bob, Sagewabe team. So very interesting that it keeps happening to these guys in particular during the ACL regular season. But we will see how many of those players are actually going to be making an appearance here tonight, as we're waiting to get everybody filled up into the lobby to find out who the exact lineups are going to be. I know there were some scheduling conflicts over on the NLE side, but hopefully they're going to be able to still field an optimal lineup for themselves as they fight for a playoff spot. Remember, the loser here will still get one more chance on Monday, but it's definitely a lot more comfortable to qualify right here, right now in that 4-2 bracket.
Yeah, certainly. And the important part is to qualify. You still need to be able to get towards that next stage. There's still one more shot here when you think about the fact that even if you lose here, you can still qualify on the next one. But you don't want to take that risk. You want to just secure your place here and secure the better seeding. It's going to work out much better if you're able to do that, because there's already quite a few teams that have qualified that are quite strong. But even in the 2-3 elimination matches, there's some really strong teams that have had a good rise, and even one that kind of got by scot-free in the form of CBA5 like you, but they're still a team that I can see them surprising anyone if they're able to play.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting matchup. They're also a tier 4 team by seed.
Yep.
So they're going to be a tough opponent up against one of the higher seeds in the 3-3 bracket. So maybe a little bit more dangerous, something to keep in mind if you're Next Level Esports, more so than if you're Mint Gaming here, because Next Level Esports themselves also one of those tier 1 seeds. So likely to be matched up against tier 4 seeds, depending on who else is in that bracket. So just something to keep in mind about the format that may make this a little bit higher stakes even for Next Level Esports, if that were even possible. But getting into the showdown here tonight, I do want to highlight, for me, this matchup's going to be about the solo lanes, because I do think, assuming that NLE are running Robbie Bob, there's going to be some strong mismatches in both solo lanes here that we're really going to be keeping an eye on. I think Ginkel has had a few games where he has struggled against some of the stronger top laners here for Mint Gaming, struggled against Xiao Danny from UCI a little bit, struggled up against Prosperity mid laner. Why is it escaping me right now?
I'm actually blanking as well.
Yeah, I'll check that in the sideline, but definitely had a it's Frozen Titan.
Yeah.
So definitely had a couple of games so far, especially early in the season, where they've struggled to pull their weight a little bit. Meanwhile, though, Ariana has been a massive carry for Mint Gaming, and it feels like those roles could very well be reversed on Next Level Esports. Robbie Bob, one of the strongest laning mids in Tier 3, always incredibly dominant when he's playing at this level, and Fiji in the top lane has kind of played a little bit more of a weak side role for this team. A lot of Ornn, a lot of Gragas, drawing a lot more tank bans on top of that as well, occasionally busting out the Scion when he gets the opportunity, and a player that's also newer to the scene, doesn't really have the accolades that some of the bigger names on Next Level Esports have.
Yeah, and that's going to be the way to really measure this, is how much can the big names really pull their weight here, because obviously they have the names for a reason. They are capable of playing to a really good degree, and that's why we know that they are kind of the safe bet. But like you're mentioning, Ariana being such an impactful player so far is something that can bode well for Mint Gaming, depending on how they can perform with them. And as the draft is starting, I just want to be sure on something. Is Alarm going to be starting?
It does look like Olorum is going to be starting in the top lane for Next Level Esports. So it really is peak performers here. Although they don't have Kitsuo, they are running Dredo in the jungle. So I think it's not who they practice with mostly, but I do think Dredo, a pretty strong jungler in his own right, made a deep run at the last OQ and has made some strong runs in the most recent couple of OQs as well. He's not a player that we've gotten to see as much of in more recent ACLs, but has had himself a pretty strong split here. He's playing for another team for a while. It was Tempest, right? I believe he's playing for Tempest.
The one eliminated or the one that's still alive?
Yes, the Tempest that is still alive, not the JLH Tempest.
Yeah, we need to remember those two.
Yes, the main roster of Tempest. He was playing for a while in the early season. They were doing pretty well. He left that team to join NLE, so they are still alive for the time being.
Yeah.
But I do believe have had a little bit of trouble since losing Dredo from the main roster. And we're already through the first round of bans. Mint Gaming going to snap up that Xin Zhao for Bad to kick things off. And interestingly enough, this is one of the only drafts against Mint Gaming I've seen this season where Bad has not been a major target. They go for the Nico out of PVS, the Tristana out of Verticality, and the Gwen out of Ariana, but they leave up a lot of bad picks that most people have tried to ban away. The Kindred, the Lilia, the Nefiri. These are kind of picks that people have tried really hard to stop Bad from getting onto. But it's still available. The bad picks, yes.
Yeah, really bad pick, certainly. And there is a good answer, though. The Xinjiao may have gotten away, but I think the Pantheon has worked out really well to try and answer to this pick, and it provides a really good potential to counter it when you're able to find certain situations where the Xinjiao is trying to go by himself or he's isolated. The Lucian as well, rising up in popularity. We've seen this champion just get higher and higher in priority. Some of the pairings have worked out really well. You can still go with some of the more aggressive supports or more engaged supports as well, but realistically I'm expecting that if you're going Lucian, you're probably going to go for an enchanter support, as the Ambessa gets picked here, the Gwen is out, the Jace is still available. Maybe could be something to think about for NLE's side, but if it's Alurim, I'm expecting him to have a really different kind of counter for the Ambessa, not necessarily what people tend to see.
Yeah, been a must ban up against Ariana this season, so a really strong pick for Mint to be able to get their hands on for him. That Lucian Melio duo been huge for NLE though as well. Melio the most played for Alkalamity so far this season, and looking like he's going to get another crack at it here as the third pick does come on through. No reason to give that an opportunity to be banned. You do know you are facing down the Jhin, and you'll be plenty happy to just get that breath of life to get people out of danger when you have the chance. So strong bot lane duo for Sagewabe, and rookie support Alkalamity, still a player that I think a lot of the scene has very high hopes for in 2025.
Yeah, they want to see him pop up the same way that Cryogen kind of has been doing so far. So maybe a little bit more action if possible, but certainly in a similar manner. So hopefully it can be something for Clement to look forward to. And as the second round of bans starts, mid lane is more than likely going to be the focus. And yeah, Talia, Syndra out. I'm expecting to see a little bit of an Ahri focus. Maybe both of these players not against the champion at all, and also Victor could be one of those choices that end up getting banned away. Also another champion that can be really bothersome to deal with, and that both of these players more than likely would like to play. I'm kind of curious in seeing if Mint will just commit to the engaged support bid when you are picking the Jhin. PBS is an engaged support player. He can play other things obviously, but he does play quite well those engaged supports, and I think with the Jhin and having the Xinjiao and the Invest already, especially also going against a squishy bot lane, you kind of want to have that hard CC to just be able to lock them down and burst them out.
Yeah. So they've got Dredo in the jungle on Pantheon. They've got Lucian Melio to play through in the mid game. In the bottom lane, facing off against the Jhin lane, looks like Mint should be able to handshake this one all right to avoid taking too much punishment in the laning phase. Looking at this Shen for Alorum, and they're just going to snap it right up. Feeling like, I mean, that could definitely be a strong pick against the Jhin and the Xin Zhao here with that Spirit's Refuge. And I think it's a strong pick in general. I think Blue Otter really showed us a lot this last season of how good this pick can just be as a top laner.
100%. The global value that you get with that Shen can be really, really good. And also, it does provide you the opportunity to go for that Ignite in the top lane against the Ambessa. So you kind of have a combat summoner with an extra with a potential to save the rest of the map, and having more shields on this Lucian to be a little bit more aggressive maybe can work out quite well. Or even on the Pantheon, you can put the Shen ultimate on top of the Pantheon, grant Skyfall in, and you can kind of already put yourself over the head of the Jhin and try and kill him as quickly as possible. As the last pick will come through here for Mint, another option could be the Way, just because of the range advantage, but I think something like the Victor would make a lot of sense just because of the control that he provides to you. Maybe Orianna as well could be an option, or not a bad one. Still fits into the idea of trying to engage with a little bit of team fight potential thanks to this Rel and this Ambessa. So I think fits in with the composition as well as it could. And then now Robbie Bob, whatever he wants to go for, he can go for here.
Yeah, knows that the Aurora is his opponent face up. Could be a good opportunity to bust out some of these control mages. He's just going to snap up the Ahri, though. This was a pick for him last week against Ember Foxes. They did very well on that one. And now Robbie going to run it back here, feeling like he's going to be in a strong lane position against Ginkel's Aurora. And really a player to keep an eye on. This is a very dangerous mid-jungle duo now from Next Level Esports with that Pantheon Ahri.
Yeah, the big potential on NLE's composition is great. They have point-and-click CC on the Pantheon, CC on the Shen, CC on the Ahri, kind of a CC on the Melio as well, and they have quite a good amount of burst damage. So it can certainly work out enough so that they can try and lock down one of the targets and kill them as quickly as possible. And it's also important to note that there's not like a straight-up tank that can soak any sort of potential damage from the side of Mint. So it's either Xinjiao walks in and he ultis as soon as they see them so that he can maybe deny some of the damage, or the Rel is able to just take the full brunt and not die immediately. Like, it's kind of that sort of situation for Mint. So they need to be extra careful about how they want to face check certain places, or ideally just get to the fight before everyone, and that way you're not going to be needing to face check at all.
Yeah, and I think mid find themselves in pretty familiar territory in that this game feels like it's all about Ariana. They definitely need to get this Ambessa going. Gets a solid lane matchup up against the Shen. I can't imagine that, you know, the Shen can probably play safe and sacrifice some waves, but I can't imagine it's too difficult to play through.
Bless you.
Thank you. Saved us all there. I hope I got the mute through in time. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be such a strong lane for them to be able to play through it, even when they haven't gotten the most favorable matchups for Ariana's Ambessa. Boy, oh boy, has it been a really strong selection for them coming into the mid and late games. Multiple carried games under Ariana's belt on this champion this split, and going to look to make it another one up against Alorum's Shen. Welcome back to Alorum, by the way, who suffered a wrist injury in the offseason. Looks like he's back and playing League again.
Yeah, going to try and be as maybe a little bit more active as possible on the side of Alorum. Hopefully he can find a good footing and come back to playing, because he is one of the most enjoyable players to watch and see play. He has great picks in some situations, and he's still quite good to be able to see. And I think this is a nice test for Ariana as well, because if you're going to go against anyone to try and like measure your carry potential, going against Alorum, which has been a great neutralizer for quite a while now, it's going to be a great test to see how well you can do or not. And mid gaming, like you're mentioning, depending on Ariana, we'll see if he can pull it off. If this can be the first victory for mid gaming, or if it's going to be just the Alorum test not going to be completed.
Yeah, really going to be very curious to see this one, and going to be a really strong showing out of this Shen pick as well, if he's able to still have a lot of influence around this game, assuming that he doesn't get completely taken out by the Ambessa, right? I still have a lot of faith in this pick. I think even on low econ, it can have huge influence, and I think it's a great pairing with the Pantheon. You're able to get back out of that back line, so it could definitely completely change the game on its own.
Yeah, could be the difference maker in important places, especially also considering that you need to be able to lock down some of these champions on the side of next level. And they are quite mobile. I would say apart from what Pantheon and Melio, there's mobility on every other champion. So there's ways to try and escape the engage, try and make it so that you're not going to be completely pummeled by the moment that someone jumps on top of you. And then if you're able to keep your Lucian or your Melio alive long enough, the longer team fights would also benefit the next level much more. They have more consistent damage thanks to having a more typical AD carry in the form of the Lucian, and then later on in the game, he will be able to deal a lot of consistent damage in most team fights.
Yeah, really should be a big opportunity in the team fights, but Robbie Bob, the player to be on the lookout for here as well, because on his Ahri, he has been so dangerous in so many matchups, and gets the final pick in the draft, right? The R5 to be able to come in and try to counter out. On to Ginkel's Aurora. Ginkel with a big task now, facing down a Robbie Bob mid lane counter pick for a playoffs qualification match, especially when you've got Dredo on the Pantheon coming out of the jungle. So I want to see Bad try to shadow that mid lane a little bit, see if he can have some influence. The temptation is to just go and dive top lane, but it's going to be tough against Spirit's Refuge when you're Xin Zhao, right? You're not going to be able to find your knockups. I think the better call here is to try to play around the Dredo Robbie Bob mid jungle duo and see if you can find an opportunity to punish these two.
You have to look for opportunities to try and make it work out, because on one side you have that Pantheon Ahri combo that, like we're mentioning, the pick potential is insane. You have point and click into just Ahri charm, and that way you can really lock down targets as effectively as possible. But then you also need to consider they are champions that you can try and get the best out of if they are not careful enough. You do have mobility with the Ahri, and you have the shield protection from the Pantheon, but they are also champions that you can surprise really quickly. And in some certain teamfight situations, their abilities will kind of lock them into just focusing one member, where the Xin Zhao and the Aurora can try and be a little bit more general when trying to look for certain team fights. So that's also another thing to try and consider with these pairings, and how they want to try and just play around the map as much as possible. But I'm expecting to see NLE move around as much as they can, try and collapse on different side lanes, try and collapse on a lot of the champions with their abilities. Even the Pantheon use the global access that he has to also use Alarim and just be a delivery way of delivering the Shen into one of the members. Yeah,
and then the other thing to keep an eye on here, at least for me, right, is I am not a big familiar face with Ariana. I did not get to see many GVU games this last split, but I'm led to believe that this guy is really, really cracked. As a former player, and I believe he played in the Polish leagues in the ERL. I could be wrong on that one, but played in some ERLs. I know that for sure, and it's kind of been taking the server by storm a little bit. Already, no offense to the mid gaming boys, but already upgrading rosters for the upcoming OQ tomorrow. We'll be following him on this stream, actually, with the new Dorado gaming roster, joining up with who's on that team? Fadicon, Mixture.
One of the most exciting ones.
Yeah, Kaido, and who's their mid laner? Shochi. So certainly a really exciting lineup. Definitely one of the favorites to be able to potentially make promotion into NACL.
Yeah. Just quickly, by the way, Polish. He is Polish.
I know he is Polish. I just don't remember what ERL he played
he did play in Poland.
Okay, cool.
Which is nice to see, having this EU players also joining from like their.
Gotta come to the better region, man.
Yeah, they come from their own parts. Technically speaking, we're kind of in a similar situation with our tier 2, so like something has to come out of all of that, right? And it works out in this way. Only 35 is thriving, almost took a victory out of Luminosity. So you have to take the small victories.
Very true. Well, we are ready to get on to Summoner's Rift for game number 1. Mint Gaming versus Next Level Esports, competing for playoff qualification. Game number 1 starts right now.
And they're just dancing in the fountain.
Let's go, Dreddo. I mean, nothing else to do while you wait for the gates to fall down. As
look,
everybody emerges. It's a full 5-man send bot from Mint Gaming.
Yeah, actually, they are committing all of them towards the bot side. But weird that I was expecting more so from the team that actually has point and click CC to go for it. But they think that they can try and get someone by surprise here. The Million Delusion are squishy, so makes sense that they maybe want to try and go for there. I'm just glad that there was no pause and we haven't stopped at all.
Yeah, for sure. I'll take that any day of the week. There's nothing too spicy in the Summoner Spells department. I am curious to see an Exhaust on PVS. Feels like there's a lot less Exhaust taken these days, but against the Pantheon and the Lucian and the Ahri, feels like it should be pretty effective for them here. And then no cleanses at all. The aggressive Ignite from Sagewabe. Looks like he and Alkalamity want to try to take the fight to verticality and PVS wherever possible.
Yeah, probably maybe the expectation was that Sagewabe was not going to take the cleanse, and that was the exhaust here. Probably the taking away so much of the damage from the Lucian's initial burst was going to be much more ideal in this laning phase. And then later on as well, some teamfights may get decided by how much damage can the Lucian do. So the exhaust may come in handy for that.
Very well could. We begin the laning phase, and solo lane's going to be where I want our eyes for a lot of this early phase, looking to see which of these two are going to be able to build up big advantages. With Ariana and Robbie Bob, two of the best laners in the ACL here, both looking to get themselves into playoffs. It would be Ariana's first as a newcomer to the region. Meanwhile, I think Robbie Bob has never missed. I do not have any stats to back that up, but it feels like a safe bet after Peak Performers made it last split.
Yeah, I would assume Robbie Bob probably one of the few that certainly has been consistently up there in the playoff history of the ACL. Don't remember how many he has won. Actually, has he won any?
I don't think he's won any, but he's made a number of deep runs.
Yeah, he has been up there, but he has not been able to just yet proclaim one of the ACL titles. Maybe this one could be the one within Elite's roster, which, depending on performances, but also depending on how consistent the roster is, could be one of the top contenders. It's just that they have made a couple of changes a few consistent times that it's kind of difficult to know which team you're going to be facing on the day.
Yeah. These are the kind of stats I need to be keeping track of, actually. I'm going to do, that's a target for the off season as ACL upgrades to an official tier 2 league next split. I definitely want to get ourselves a little Hall of Fame, see who's won an ACL title in the past. But nonetheless, don't think anybody in this game would be on that list, at least. Oh, actually, Alorum would be. Alorum
was there with the Mirage Alliance. When I was thinking Mirage Alliance had Robbie Bob, but no, it was Dardoch, Alorum, and Satsi at the time. Yep.
Yeah. And,
so one winner. We have one winner here.
Yeah. And that was Chad in the jungle. It was Dardoch support with Neo.
Yeah, Dardoch support Neo AD.
Classic. Good times, good times. They won ACL right before qualifying for NACL. We don't talk about what happened after that, but
we had the chance to talk a little bit about that with Dardoch on one of our episodes in the online. As we see a dive. Ooh.
Big dive on a verticality. Stun comes on through. Easy first blood for Sagewabe. Calamity gonna get traded back onto. Actually stays alive with the summoner heal. That might have been an execute even if he did drop, but we don't have to find out as he gets away with his life.
Yeah, doesn't even need to know if that would have been a trade or not. It's 1-0 at the end. Kill for Sagewabe. Miss wave now for verticality, and already starting really badly for them. While we're speaking about the Hall of Fame potential and all of that out of the ACL, great batting down there by I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the name, but I'm going to call you
Dredo?
what you're appearing here. Dredo. Yeah, I was going to say Dragowski, but yeah, Dredo, really good idea, just moving towards the bot side and knowing that if you get the first move there with a push that you were going to get 100% of the time because you have double range, you can go for the dive in that situation. It's important also the amount of trading that went down there. The consistent just attack onto the Jhin made it so that it was going to be as easy as possible to try and get that dive down there.
Oh, really nice trades coming through from Ariana here. Has kept the wave over on their side of the map to guarantee that they're going to be able to continue to harass onto Alorum, and it's been pretty good pickings for them so far. We'll be getting a wave crash in here too. Let's see if they look for continued aggression to try to force Alorum back first, or if they just try to take the cheater recall off of what should be a pretty solid crash coming up here. I'm feeling a cheater recall. If they don't get the kill into Alorum right off the bat, flash used, public execution connects, and Ariana gets a solo kill.
Well, countering the bot side play comes a top lane play really well down there by Ariana. A lot of damage, and also just understanding the ranges that you needed to play there as best as possible. Also, great flash into public execution, securing the kill and netting them a little bit of gold back into their favor, making it so that the lead is now not as big as it could have been. But the bot lane is still in a dire situation. You have the wave here over on the side of the Lucian. Verticality has to wait a little bit more before he can do anything, and because PBS is also back here, means that he's not going to be able to be as aggressive in trying to collect this. If he moves super forward, maybe a lot of trading from Sagewabe comes down and he just has to run away.
Yeah, Dragowski, or Dredo rather, still level 5, so not going to be able to man drop into the bottom lane and punish verticality further, but certainly a tough position for the Jhin in the bottom lane right now. Eyes on if they're going to be able to find a way to bail this out, as both junglers have just kind of been perma-farming this game. Nice double stun from PBS, but nothing really to come of it. So another wave crashes in, and this game is all about just letting verticality stay alive, trying to stop them from falling too far behind, and does pick up a big chunk of that wave as the first dragon falls to Dredo.
Yeah, a bit bad though, down there in the bot side, waiting to come around here, actually finding a great angle. And Sagewabe
flash in from PBS, Bad coming in from behind. Sagewabe, the focus flashes back away, the knockup connects from Bad, follow-up stun, and verticality picks up the kill. Bad though, burning down to the ignite, and Sagewabe gets the kill credit. It's a 1-for-1. Sagewabe and Calamity managed to make it an even trade.
Amazing gang timing there, great flash engage there by PBS as well, and taking advantage also of the fact that there's no heal on Calamity, and also no Birdie and mana there for Sagewabe. Could do just one dash to try and escape, and Birdie could try and go for any more back damage. On the side though, they do get the counter kill onto a bit bad, and it opens up space now for Dragowski to maybe try and thread with playing on the map, because he is now level 6. He has now more avenues to try and impact the rest of the map, but still great to try and cancel out a little bit of the advantage that the Lucian had and make it so that the Jhin can try and fight back better. Yeah,
I mean, it's probably still a net positive play for NLE, as Bad shows on the other side of the map, and they do manage to make an even trade in a 2 versus 3, but does kind of bail the Jhin out of what was a pretty unfortunate situation as well, letting them stay relatively even in itemization. PBS is making a move into mid for Robbie Bob. Will be able to connect the stun. They're going to commit the ultimate, but Robbie Bob able to dance in and out. In comes Alorum with the stand united, and this is going to be a kill onto PBS. Feet of Warfare to next level esports, and a flash in from Dredo to lock down Ginkle. Nowhere left to go. Dredo walks away with the kill.
Yeah, and with those two picks on the mid lane, really well, good timing from Alarim to just immediately pop the ultimate and be able to stop this, means that this grubs more than likely should go in favor of the side of NLE. They also have the Lucian and the Emilio here in the mid lane, so securing them is going to be extremely easy. The important part now, though, is what can the side of Min can try and go for here. They do have verticality down there on the bot side by himself. Maybe he can collect one play to try and answer back, but so far the gold lead still in favor of NLE, and with the added grub value, they are going to be able to rush turrets much better.
Yeah, I mean, this is an objective sweep early on for NLE as they get themselves all 3 grubs. Oh. Here's an execution coming through from Ariana, though. Looking to solo out Alorum again. PVS going to get his name on that kill, roaming up from the bot lane, and Ariana gets his second.
Yeah, didn't care about verticality being by himself down there in the bot side, and that means that it's a pretty easy kill once again, committed on the side of Ariana, and they secured the kill really, really well down there. Sagewabe taking a huge trade in the mid lane as well, but with the play that he's able to get, he's just going to back off and try and collect the gold in his favor. Still, I'm glad that even though NLE is finding good plays and able to put themselves ahead, Mate is not staying behind. They are trying to find ways to make themselves as useful as possible, and they are playing just like we thought. Around Ariana, give Ariana the resources, get him ahead as fast as possible, and that way we can just try and win the game through our best at destroying everyone.
Yeah, and I mean, he is big ahead. The gold lead basically even despite what's been going on bot and mid lane, and all of that is on Ariana and maybe off of Alorum, depending on what way you want to look at it. It is a huge individual gold lead as he finishes off the Eclipse. Not the first legendary item on the map, but certainly a very early one, and will be a massive fighting tool up against this Shen. I mean, the one-on-one here, if it wasn't cooked already, it's cooked now.
Yeah, you probably are not going to be happy at all if you're the Shen trying to play it out in that position, but the other side, though, once again, they are looking happy. You have first item completed on Robbie Bob, first item completed on the Lucian already. Burst damage is going to be great to kill this Jhin, and I don't think verticality knows that they are there. This could be a potential just attempt at killing the Jhin in this situation. Oh, no.
A big bit of burst here. There is a little bit of movement speed to be had from PVS, and they will be able to land that stun. They've continually run into this issue, though, where they just can't lock them down long enough to be able to get these follow-up deadly flourishes, so not able to extend the trades as far as they would like. Still able to get verticality out of a little bit of a dicey situation. Both junglers hovering bottom side, although Bad going to take a recall here. We will see if this is a wraparound from Dredo. They might not be expecting this from the mid-gaming bot lane.
There is, though, members already backing. We have verticality and PVS as well just going away. So it means that they probably, if they weren't sniffing it, they just were perfectly ready to just escape as soon as they knew that something was kind of up. And they are not going to pay the price because of it. That being said, though, the Jhin and the Millie are soon that... Oh.
Wow. Going for aggressive trades under the turret. Probably taking a little bit more damage than they dealt, but Alorum's so much lower to begin with. Going to take the recall here. That's going to sacrifice more plates to Ariana. If he commits the TP, it feels dangerous because it means he can't stand united during that time if a fight breaks out of the opposite side. But it doesn't look like Mint is even considering a fight for this second dragon. They've just sent all their members elsewhere.
Yeah, everyone was already pivoting towards the top side. They know the advantage that they have with Ariana, and they are looking to try and maybe hover around them as much as possible so that it's not going to be an important lead on the other side. And with the dragon falling down, it is going to be mountain, so it's looking like. So having extra resistances against someone like this Mbessa may be the most ideal thing for NLE. Oh.
Another extended trade here. Ariana now with the teleport advantage. The dragon being down means there's not going to be a lot of opportunities to make good use of that TP advantage, but still something to be played with as another wave crashes into the top side. Nice route onto Sagewabe. PBS, though, has to flash out. Verticality left in a 1 versus 2. Cozy Campfire keeping them topped off. That is the curtain call opened up on the opposite side. Now Gank coming in on top. Alorum gets executed before Dredo can show up, and now Dredo might be victim of a redive. Another big turret shot on a Bad mistake. Stepping back in is punished instantly, and Verticality and PVS have to abandon their turret losses on both sides, it feels like, for Mint.
Yeah, really bad mistake. Recommitting there, moving yourself a little bit forward back into that position means that there's a good answer from the Pantheon. It's still a 1-for-1 at the end of the day, but with the way that the bot lane play went, now it's more than likely first turret blood in favor of NLE. That was a lot of damage that they were able to get as well, by the way. I wasn't expecting Alcalamity's great reaction to just stopping PBS engage.
Yeah, really nicely done there by Alcalamity. Again, showing some of why folks are so excited for this guy in the NA Tier 3 scene. And NLE now find themselves at a solid lead. Like you called out, that turret goes down. First turret actually doesn't even matter here because they got the first 3 objectives, so feats already were secured by NLE earlier on, but still, they get the full 3-0 feat sweep for whatever that means to you. They are now geared up for, I mean, next objective is going to be the Herald. Should be, once again, something where perhaps Mint can stage a fight, get less value out of the Shen ultimate, assuming that Ariana continues to hold top lane, although they've already moved Robbie Bob up there to match.
Yeah, they've been moving a lot frequently with their players so that they can try and answer in the most comfortable position, give them lanes that they can respond to accordingly, and that they are not going to suffer greatly if they send someone there. Great stun there, but I don't think they can turn this into much.
Oh, in fact, Sangawabe, you're going to turn it into an aggressive trade for him, just keeping PVS low. Lorem, probably not a much better matchup here up against Ginkle, who is going to continue to chase him, commits the ultimate, won't actually get the damage off of it, will be able to extend the trade a little bit further, keep that Shen low, force a Shen recall perhaps, but no solo kill to be had.
It's not yet enough to be able to force a kill onto a Lorem, and that is ultimate already committed. Good thing that there's not like a huge objective that they want to fight for. Maybe they would like to commit for the Herald, but I'm thinking that that's probably not the best choice. Oh, are we?
Yeah, bad. Actually, taking a trade, extending that trade a little too further, and that's going to be another kill. Bad. Second time in a row, just clicks in the wrong direction for a second. And the next level esports are there to punish. This is going to be their Rift Herald.
Yeah, pretty easy objective collected for the side of NLE. Really nice kill. Oh, Ariana.
Who knows that the ultimate is down from Robbie Bob, but Stand United will force Ariana to retreat. Not respecting the potential there from Allura. No way to interrupt on the side of Ginkle. That is a tough matchup to try to hold down the Shen when you can't interrupt the ultimate.
Yeah, makes it so that it's pretty easy for you to try and just commit all around the map and instead be ready to help the rest of your team, as that's another huge trade that PBS takes to the face. But they are able to escape without really losing anything, and Ariana still going to be able to push. They also get bot lane turret, so all in all, gold-wise, you do value the fact that they are able to get something in their favor. It's not the biggest gold lead, but you're keeping yourself as close as possible with only a 1k, close to a 2k gold lead in favor of NLE, but it's very minimal considering how some of the situations have gone.
Yep. So, still all about Ariana here, playing responsibly with their lead there. I like how willing they were to flash away from the incoming Stand United in that earlier trade. You know, you kind of feel the pressure sometimes. You want to be the big solo carry. You want to try to go for the 1v2 there, but the risk of losing the shutdown at this stage, I mean, it might just be lights out for Mint. So playing a little conservatively with what is a sizable lead, you got to respect that.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be respectful about some of those situations. That doesn't mean that you cannot try and go for plays, especially if Ariana is close by, but you have to be ready to respond accordingly as
Yeah, PVS getting this fight started. Knows they're going to be able to melt down the turret, but Robbie Bob blows them up too fast. And once again, it's these two again that Ariana's got to try to escape from. Goes back in closer to the incoming TP from Ginkle. Bad coming in on the flank. Mint think they can turn this fight. Curtain call opens up. Bad is already down. A massive between worlds from the side of Ginkle. Setting up for Ariana, but the chain CC is too much. Charm from Robbie Bob opens up an opportunity to cut him down, and Ginkle can't clean it up either. It's 2 for 4, 2 for 5 if you count PBS's earlier death. Next level esports with an unofficial ace.
Yeah, really next level fight in that situation. Really, really well played by the side of NLE, and you can see here the replay. It's starting to try and go for Alarin, but they are not respecting the fact that their members can also move. PBS goes way too quickly, and also the turret was barely dead at the time. Robbie Bob quickly kills them off, and then even though they were moving around trying to get onto the punishment with Xinjiao already in place, the response for NLE was also really good. They had 4 members already moving around. They had the damage to be able to burst out the Xinjiao before he even ulted, and then even though the ultimate by the Aurora is amazing, you have the Pantheon coming on the back. it's so well played with the timings that are used here to stop the abilities from some of the members. Because if verticality is not stopped, he gets fourth shot. If Ambessa doesn't get charmed, she probably kills another two members. So it's just those minute details that really make this fight go in favor of NLE so effectively.
Yeah, and I wish we could have toggled vision there, because I'm pretty sure Robbie gets around the wall, just barely breaks vision when he throws out that charm. So I think Ariana doesn't get to see it and is locked into an animation to guarantee that it's going to connect. Really, really clutch move from Robbie there to start off the chain CC and stop what could have been Ambessa just wiping the fight.
It's the small things that really make or break things, and in that situation, it worked out marvelously well. Now, it's important as well also to consider that that fight could have gone really either. Ooh, Sage.
Yeah, there's a big trigger pull there from PVS, just locking down both bot laners, and a 5-man squad of Mint Gaming will clean up 2 for a numbers advantage on the map.
Yeah, and that was with Shen ultimate being popped as well. So they were able to blow over the shields from the Shen and also the immediate engage onto the Milio. A lot of damage on Robbie Bob. But that's the thing. Even though the previous fight went so, well, kind of badly for Mint Gaming and they ended up losing it, they still showed that there's instances where if they find the right target with the right ultimate, you can blow them up really quickly. And that's exactly what happened in that situation, as Robbie Bob probably will be fine.
Yep. Has Dragowski there for the backup. Even throws up the Aegis. Be able to block away that 4th shot. No sponsorship. It is a nicely done attempt from verticality, but not going to be able to walk away with much of anything. Still just trying to farm it out, get into the later game. Stuck on 1 legendary item while Sagewabe works on his 3rd. Certainly a bit of a disadvantage here. Oh boy, Dredo back for revenge, and verticality melts.
Yeah, they pull the same play that they did onto Sagewabe and Alkalemity onto verticality, but with less members and also with a lot of damage onto that Jhin. With this, they will take down the mid lane turret and also look to try and maybe get the attic, and they have first move into it. The verticality is out for 10 more seconds now. They are not going to try and rush it. They don't think they have enough damage, and I think it's good enough respect. You don't want to throw the game off of an Anakin fight.
Yeah, really risky, especially when you don't actually have that big of a lead here. Only about 2.5k for NLE. A Thornbound Otacon can make a big difference as well. Huge injection of XP as soon as you take that one down now, as it upgrades all your petals. And the buff itself, not too shabby either, especially when you're on these kind of pick-focused compositions where you're trying to get 1 kill at a time and then chase down the rest. That'd be pretty valuable for both of these comps. Get that AoE slow after just 1 pick. Not going to be a target of fighting here quite yet, though. I think Mint definitely want to be in a position where they can get this Shen a little low first and maybe minimize the impact he has coming in with Stand United.
Yeah, ideally, you can see a situation where Mint and NLE are fighting on one side for the objective, and then Elraim just gets locked down by Rihanna and killed before he even does anything, and that way you can try and play off of that slight advantage with numbers advantage as well. And we need to also consider, even though the gold lead is not really in favor of NLE as of now, it's only 2k gold lead, the dragons are. It's 3-0 in terms of dragons, and the next dragon is going to be the soul for the side of NLE. And Mountain Soul like that, we're talking about it, a huge amount of resistances, giving them an extra opportunity to survive for a little bit longer against someone like Ariana is going to be really, really ideal.
Really will. Ariana still very strong here. 2k gold lead individually, although collapsing onto Ginkle. Can PVS get them out of here? Not able to touch the wall. Finally getting away, but it might have cost PVS his life. He's just going to try to keep the play going. Ariana TP's in. Huge damage on Robbie. Dredo falls as well, and they might end up trading their big Ambessa for this one. It's a 2-for-2 all in all. Robbie Bob and Dredo for Ariana and PVS.
Yeah, but with no jungler here, that means that going for the Attic and not going to be the best bet. It looked like it was going to be a pick onto Ginkle, but instead immediately turned around and they are able to collect a couple of kills in their favor. It's a 2-for-2, but you have to take whatever you can take in those situations. And now with the dragon spawning in 45 seconds actually.
Oh, nice spacing there for Ginkle to be able to avoid. That's going to be a flash force out of Alorum, chasing him down, looking for the solo bolo. Just has to be careful not to get charmed here. Slow connects Alorum, gonna turn it back around, pulls the Spirit Blade through, and Alorum with a solo kill.
And you mentioned it, be careful about getting charmed there. It's not a charm, but it's certainly going to be enough to kill the Aurora in that position. And it's 30 seconds for the Aurora, 15 for the Dragon. This could be just the Dragon being decidedly going in favor of the side of NLE.
Yeah, it's a huge loss for them there. I did want to call out the 2 for 2 earlier. I think was very good for Mint. Those were 2 big shutdowns on Dragowski and Robbie that did go over to Ariana. So probably a big positive gold play there for the side of Mint Gaming, and you can see it by the fact they're only down 2k now.
Ooh,
Charm connects again, though. It's PVS getting focused down. Can't even Magnet Storm before he falls to Sage Wabe. And now it is a 4 versus 5. Ginkle TPing in, gonna come in on the flank. Curtain Call opened up, chunking down onto Dredo. Ariana gonna get marked for this one. Big damage onto Dredo. Does have to use the Aegis, gets knocked back up bad. Creates the space with the Crescent Guard, but he will fall down. Ariana in the middle of everybody. Ariana and Ginkle cut down 3, and Ariana still healthy enough to try to clean up the rest of this fight. Robbie Bob trying to escape, but chased down by the Flash and the Drakehound stack. It's only Alorum left standing, and Verticality and Ariana, they're gonna be able to deny this soul.
Ariana is destroying everyone with this Ambassador pick, really showing why this team is an Ariana team. So much damage. Look at this fight. It was an advantage of 1 to 4 only, but the damage that they were able to deal, and then this, the engage from Ariana onto the backlink with the ultimate after the Aurora ultimate as well. So much burst, so much damage, but finding the right targets, and then Sagewabe barely able to escape at all. He just gets completely popped from the Aurora and Ambassador damage, and then following up on the kills is much easier for the side of Mint Gaming, since the Ambassador can just run them down after that point. Verticality was left untouched as well on the side. Even though Sagewabe is so much farther ahead, he cannot touch a lot of the members. He has to be much better in terms of his positioning, because if not, he's just going to get collapsed like that by the Ambassador. But a lot of that comes from merit from Ariana, understanding the way that he needs to play this game and how he needs to position himself. They need to stop this Ambassador if they want to win on the side of NLE.
Yeah, I mean, big highlight from Bad there as well, right at the start. Crescent Guard knocking back 3 to create space in that fight and give them that opening to melt down Dredo. Really nicely played there from Mint, who are showing some big team fighting chops here as we get into the later stages of mid-game, tentatively into the late game as the Baron just spawned up. Really nice stuff from them to be able to find opportunities to pull this one back in. And now 8-2-4 on the Mbessa. Ariana, if you're going to step up and carry this one, these next few minutes will be the time.
Ooh, a lot of damage into Verticality there. Not enough to get the kill, but at the very least forcing the Jhin out in that position. Oh, Bad maybe getting collapsed on here.
Bad up a little far here. Robbie Bob sees him, smells blood in the water, dashing forward with the Spirit Rush. Knockback away. Bad surviving as long as he can, but Robbie will hunt him down. A lot committed for that kill, it feels like, but they will be able to just walk away.
It is still the jungler down now. No flash for a bit bad either. And Baron buff is up and alive here to try and play it. They also have Alarim on the bot side, but he has ultimate. He can come here and respond. So this could be just a perfectly fine play for the side of NLE to try and force. But they are seeing the potential of the team fight, deciding against it, and just going to leave Alarim try and take down the turret down there on the bot side in the meanwhile. I like and respect the attempt that they are going for here, not really overcommitting, but because of how they manage it out, it does mean that they lose one turret. So actually, overall gold value going pretty similar between each other.
Yeah, I mean, somehow Ginkle channels a recall up there while Dredo is just getting in there with the Starfall. So Pantheon ultimate used for nothing as Ginkle gets the escape off, and all in all, not too bad for Mint for having had their jungler picked. They don't actually suffer very many consequences.
Yeah, that could have been a Baron and Adakan, something much bigger, but instead it's just the jungler kill for the turret kill, and that's about it. Now, objectives up are the Baron and the Adakan. But we also need to consider that the Dragon will be up in a minute 40 now after a few seconds, so there's going to be important decisions that need to be made, and what the objective is going to be for NLE and for Mid. they want to fight for each objective, or do they want to try and trade, try and have a little bit of an advantage so that they can get back into the game in some manner? It's going to be important seeing what the decision is going to fall into.
It is. Still seeing the dominance in the side lane from Ariana on this Ambessa. Any dream you ever had of the Shen fighting this one out is long gone. There's Cyrilda's Grudge completed, so a full 5 items set up now for Ariana. Got that control ward as well to try to help keep some vision control, and they're going to try to make their stand here. I mean, this is about as strong as Ariana's going to get. Yes, you can work on a 6th item, but I think the returns are a little marginal as everybody else on NLE is going to start finishing their 4th items around that same time. Ooh. Engage on a Robbie. They do channel the Stand United, and the stasis will be enough to guarantee Alorum gets in. So it will be a full 5-on-5. TP in from Ginkle, trying to finish off Robbie. Robbie stays alive, and they finish off the Aurora. Curtain calls cannot connect from verticality, and he's able to escape. Now a double kill for Sagewabe. Finally, Ariana able to take down one, but the rest of the fight has gone to hell on the opposite side. Ariana trying to duke it out with Sagewabe. Now Calamity, but the auto attacks can't be dodged. 2 more for NLE, an ace for 2 for Next Level Esports.
What a fight by NLE, and it's all on the quick reaction by Robbie Bob. He gets the Sonya's off with the ultimate on top, repositioning themselves, both Alorium, Robbie Bob, and the rest of the team, and they are able to keep Sagewabe in touch as quickly as possible. But the most important part from all of this fight is how quickly Gingo TPs in and dies out. This is starting perfectly fine, but they don't have enough CC to lock down correctly Robbie Bob. Maybe a mistimed Q on the side of PBS a little bit quicker and could have been dead, but here Ginko TPs in, gets into stun, into dead. That's it. And as soon as the Aurora dies here, it's a 4v5 that you're able to play out for as long as possible. Ariana commits too much onto Alarim, and that means that you have free space as Sagewabe to be able to run the fight. And that's the thing, Ariana is the strongest member on mid gaming, but that also means that if he's away from a fight, Sagewabe realistically doesn't fear anything or anyone, and they can try and play off the rest of the fight perfectly fine. That's exactly what happens here, and now they also get the soul. Mountain Soul for NLE, and objectives still alive for them to take.
Yeah, tough situation now for Mint, facing down a Mountain Souled Next Level Esports. Really going to need to play these fights tight and controlled to be able to come up with wins at this stage. They do not finish off the Thornbound Otacon. Getting that would definitely give a little bit more oomph to Mid Gaming's team fighting, but even finding that opportunity feels like it's going to be tough, as once again Sagewabe going for the chunk early on. Happy to be liberal with his usage of the culling and just to keep members chunked down as they fight for mid-wave.
Well, he pretty much knows that as long as he has the Melio on his side and also the Pantheon to a certain degree, he can probably be as aggressive as possible. Shen ultimate is also up, so he can move up because he has protection to be able to move up. That being said, he can get bursted out really quickly, and if Arian is there, he can get killed as...
it's going to use the Stand United to try to escape, but nice use of Deadly Flourish from verticality. Able to interrupt that one out of Alorum. I mean, this is already a win. You will trade Public Execution for Stand United, I do believe. Ariana going to happily force Alorum out of that play, but got to be careful not to get engaged on Mint in mid lane. Snare connecting onto Sagewabe will stop the play.
Yeah, important that they are able to stop this on the side, even though they don't kill Alorum. Like you're mentioning, taking away that Stand United, that shield value, that immediate access to another member on a fight is going to be always ideal. Now, they start a little bit on the Baron buff here, but I'm 100% sure they are not going to be able to play around that, and it's just a corner call to try and stop this.
Yeah, just doing it for scouting. They're not even really going to break through the Mountain Soul shields, so not very many lasting impacts to be found off of that play. The window is about to open where Ariana will have Public Execution and Alorum will not have Stand United. Let's see what Mid can do.
Yo, maybe PVS dying here.
Oh, PVS drops before the fight really begins. Once again, Ginkle came in on the side, landed an okay between worlds, but looks like that is going to be another KO. Ariana left alone in the middle of 5, and you cannot survive this one. Next Level Esports with what may be the nail in the coffin as they win a 3-for-0.
Yeah, sadly, pretty anticlimactic way of losing the fight there. Great engage onto PBS, quickly picking them up and just immediately turning that into another kill because Aurora, trying to set up a potential fight, is not in the best possible position, gets immediately CC'd and then immediately killed. And then Mbessa, even though he's the strongest member, pretty easy to control if you're not going to be committed by all the other members. So it's Baron buff plus Atakan buff, and also if you can take into account the previous Mountain Soul as well.
Yeah, Alorum kind of invincible up against Bad and Verticality. I mean, yeah. Verticality empties the whole clip and Alorum's still at half HP. I don't know what you can do about that at this stage, as he's just tanking through everything, and once All Calamity rolls up to heal him a little bit, that's just it.
They did a good amount of damage, but that amount of damage is probably funny for Alorum, like you were mentioning. A lot of that this all comes down to what the Mbessa can do, and we were mentioning this as well before, but yes, the Mbessa may have been at 5 items, but now she's stunted. She's not at 6 items. She's not going to keep on evolving and becoming better. Meanwhile, the Lucian completed his 5th item as well, and then he's close to the 6th one as well. You have the Ari really strong in the same manner, and Alorum that was behind is slowly but surely catching up, so the other members on NLE are getting to that Mbessa strong point and may die here as actually.
Yeah, the window seems to have closed for Ariana here to be able to be that big solo carry force. Next Level Esports keep the game going. They get the team-wide objectives. They scale the full team into the game with a 7K lead now at their backs. They are well set up to be able to siege this base. Just looking for the fight opportunity here. Alorum still on the split push with Stand United available. And Mint looking like they might have a chance to pull the trigger here. Here comes Ginkle on the side. Does not commit the Between Worlds. Just goes for a little bit of chunk damage onto Alorum. Robbie Bob still pushing bot lane now. And the siege will continue in the 3-1.
Yeah, it's going to keep on being... Actually, I think it's kind of a 3.5 one. Because the Pantheon is hovering right in the middle to stop everything. But look at that damage. And the Lucian takes a little bit of damage. But look at that. It continues with the bullet, with the calling and able to take down the mid lane turret here.
Oh, and here's Alorum to get the dive started on the opposite side. Robbie Bob dashing in with the Spirit Rush. Bad uses Crescent Guard to buy some space, but they have abandoned their mid lane inhibitor. It will fall down to NLE at the cost of a couple of ultimates, and they're going to be able to move right into bot lane and start onto the bot inhibitor as well. Mint looking for an opportunity to get the fight started now. Between Worlds is still available. They will get the lockdown on a Robbie. It's going to be the Breath of Light to cleanse PBS with a 4-man ultimate. This is the best opportunity they've had in a while. Ariana trying to chase down on the opposite side. Going to have to let that fish go to try to take the fight in the 4 versus 3. Dredo getting knocked up, creating space for Ginkle. He will fall down. Alorum tries to taunt back through again. Everybody going for the rabbit, and nobody will catch it. Mint Gaming come up with 3 kills for 1, and they're looking to make Robbie Bob a 4th. Need to connect some kind of CC. 1 shot from Verticality, 2 shots, 3 shots, and Mint Gaming get their 4.
Wait, that's Elder timing. That was such a big team fight. They only lose PBS, and it's Elder timing. Oh, Verticality, no, not like this.
No, trying to flash away. Gets the barrier just in time, but nobody here can fight Sage Wabe. Spit Bad has to flash away. Ariana, a new challenger arrives, and this may be the best one to fight Sage Wabe off they've had so far.
They're starting it. They do have teleport on Robbie. They have teleport on Alarin, but they died so early.
Will die to 1 auto from this dragon.
He would die to any auto from anyone.
Oh, here's Sage Wabe. Thinks he's got fish in a barrel. Ariana going to challenge him here, trying to keep him away. Bad keeping the aggro.
Oh, no way.
Got from Verticality for the shutdown. And Mint Gaming get themselves the Elder. They're still in this one, PBS.
No way that PBS saves this game.
Sorry, your
with
TBS.
That huge
PBS
engage.
is in the game. My bad.
It's 3 letters. It's fine. It's close enough, but that is such a massive way to salvage the game by PBS. It should have been game over, but a 4-man engage here, finding every member collapsing on each other, and just a perfect engage that they were looking for all game long. They find Emilio, blow up immediately out Calamity, and then Lucian cannot do anything, has to run away. They try to re-engage multiple times here, and I think this is the biggest mistake from NLE at all. Once the Pantheon is dead, just run. Play the long fight, because Lucian just backed. If you're able to run them down, Lucian comes back, you're able to play it. But here, Alorum wants to go in, great 3rd knockup to stop him from getting onto the backline, and then running down Robbie Bob as well. I feel like NLE played the fight way too fast, for what it needed, and it just turned into a complete disaster. Same way that I think if the Lucian just plays the fight a little bit longer in terms of the dragon, probably can stop it, or probably can make it so that the Emilio can come or help him fight it out. But because they try to force too quickly, they end up losing the Elder Dragon. They will lose a couple of structures here, and they probably will lose an inhibitor if they are not careful enough.
The thing is that Elder will not last forever. The Mountain Soul and a Thornbound Otacon will. So Mint Gaming going to see how much they can force here. If they can take another fight with the Elder, it would be huge.
Wait.
That takes a big chunk, though, and may have to back on away. They get another inner tower. This is going to reduce the gold lead to about 1k, basically negligible at this stage of the game. Ariana at full build, Sage Wabe in the same camp, and still fishing around to see if they can start a fight before this Elder expires.
I want to try and look for something here, but I'm not sure if they are going to be able to find it. Just the fact that they were able to get a couple of turrets, get the gold back into their favor to a certain degree, and make it so that the Jhin is now close to being the same amount of items as the Lucian, I think it's the most ideal part. I like this bush play, by the way, as well. But if it's Alurim, I'm not sure if they can burst him out.
Yeah, we'll see. They will definitely take Sage Wabe or All Calamity if they can get him. All Calamity lagging a little bit behind. They get the slow. They're looking for the snare. They do connect it. The engage stuffed by All Calamity, but will it be enough? Sage Wabe in execute range. He will end up falling down. Dredo going to be the next one on the menu. Ariana still at full HP, trying to style on the rest of the fight. Dances forward, looking for Robbie Bob. Takes down All Calamity as an afterthought. Is verticality stepping up. One or two more shots. The Elder has expired. They don't have the execute damage, but verticality does not care. One more bullet in the clip to put down Alurim, but he turns it back. Ariana, the last man standing in the fight. 9 kills, and only Ariana stands.
The hyper carry top laner able to pull it off there, playing with the last bit of Elder. The Elder expired in the middle of the fight, and it almost worked out massively for them, but at the end it's not enough. They are not able to pull it off, and guess what? It turns out that the team fight goes in favor of the side of Mint Gaming. They are pushing into the hero, by the way, in life, but it's not going to be enough to finish the game. And crucially here, Sage Wabe dies really quickly, and even though Robbie Bob is doing a lot of damage on the side, they're not able to close down kills quickly enough, and the moment that verticality arrives here, able to deal enough to kill Robbie Bob, and Alurim also just lacking that last bit of damage to kill Ariana. It also helps the fact that Ariana has some great healing ways to just salvage himself, but verticality coming back there, kind of similar to Sage Wabe in the previous fight where he walked too far forward. Walks too far forward there and ends up dying. Still, great victory for Mint, and this game is as close as it can be.
It is as close as I've seen an ACL game get, TDS, and the momentum has shifted to Mint here. You can feel the confidence they have taking these fights, and some trepidatiousness from NLE as they have failed in a couple of engagements in a row now. They had such a massive lead, and Mint feel confident to start the Baron. Looking for a big engage angle from PVS here. He gets spotted by the Scryer's Orb. Still looking around for what could be a game-determining engage. Dredo steals the Baron, but PVS finds his engage. Gets it onto multiple members. Bad comes in with a Crescent Guard. It's already PVS falling down to start things off, and Sage Wabe in a beautiful position to continue to fire away over the wall. Verticality is Seer trying to watch Ariana fight it out, seeing if there's a chance to turn it around, but it will not present itself. NLE take the fight 4 for 2.
Wait, and now Pantheon is going to stop the Jhin there. They do have a minion wave, and they are going to try and make it work out.
4 bounces, 4 minions.
It's not enough. It's not enough. The bounces did not come through there, and verticality, you're probably not going to die. I don't think you get killed here, but
nice footwork.
You're going to lose your base.
Yeah, I think the game might be over, but the one-on-one keeping an eye on here does turn it around. But it's an exposed Nexus against Sage Wabe and Alurim. And Next Level Esports, they let their grip loosen for a bit, but they close out game number 1.
It was kind of a bit of a back and forth in terms of how they wanted the game to go, in terms of throws, obviously. But at the end there, I don't think the Baron is a bad call, especially at this point. But yeah, right, the Pantheon, perfect timing there. And, oh, a bit bad.
It's an early smite and a Comet Spear.
I'm kind of curious. Actually, can we go back a little bit? just a little bit. Was it timing it with the 4th bullet of the Jin? That's the thing that I want to know. Because if it's timing it with that, there might be a case. No, Jin wasn't charging. No, there was that. Yeah, that's you have to time it with your Jin there. That's a mistake, and luckily, and yeah, that's the game defining moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Unlucky.
a lot of huge plays from Mint, huge moves to get back into that one, but Next Level Esports do manage to close it out. That was just game 1 of what's going to be a best of 3. Okay. Look at that gold graph. And a huge win in a tight game for Next Level Esports. Need to see a mental reset from Mint Gaming here coming into game number 2. They still have a shot at this one. They've played a lot of 3-game series this ACL so far, TDS. And they're going to have to make this another one if they want to try to qual playoffs and avoid playing on Monday.
Yeah, I agree. They want to try and do it here. Game 3 Merchants, they maybe, but they need to get there.
Huge damage from Ariana, of course, on the Mbessa, topping all players. Robbie Bob and Sage Wabe pulling a fair bit of weight themselves. And Dretto. I mean, Dretto at 30K compared to a 13K out of Bad, definitely pulling his weight as well on the Pantheon.
Yeah, doing a really good job. And in the same vein, sadly, without trying to like put too many, like pointing too much against him, I think Bad needs to have a comeback game next time. Not the best game possible here, but I do think that he has the possibilities and the great jungler, able and capable of turning around. So I'm sure that in the next game it's going to turn out great.
Absolutely here. Woo. I mean, I hope that we're going to get more games like that in this series. Because, well, first of all, you know, it doesn't feel like it because we've watched a lot of close games this ACL. We've seen a lot of games go to 40+ minutes and feel like either team can take it. But we have not had 3-game series.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. So Mint is a 3-game merchant, but we are cursed with only 2-game series. So what's going to be stronger? It's what we're going to see.
Yeah, we'll find out. I mean, this is as good a night as any to actually end up going to the full 3-game series. We will find out. We're going to throw it to a quick break here before we get into the draft for game 2. But first, I do want to shout out our sponsor, Zen Market. You ever had a problem longing for a special Japanese item that you cannot find locally? Zen Market is your one-stop solution for buying products directly from Japan. They'll help you buy items from over 10,000 shops, as well as place bids on auctions on your behalf. They'll even consolidate all your items safely into one box and can ship it internationally. They provide excellent customer service in 19 languages, which is why they are trusted by over 2 million users worldwide. Check out the panel below the stream or click that link in the chat to try them out now. If you sign up with promo code Aegis, you will get 1,000 yen off your first international shipping fee. Thanks again to Zen Market, and we will see everybody after a short break.
日本にはまだある？急がないと在庫があるのはそこだ。遅かった。そう。そのフィギュアを一つだけ譲ってくれんやろか。お前はんだよ、同志じゃねえか。もちろん取引しようや。ありがとう、全マーケット。
Welcome back, everybody, to the ACL, where Next Level Esports and Mint are facing off for the second time. NLE won game number 1. We will get that updated here for you, and they will be moving over to blue side as Mint Gaming go over to red for game number 2.
One of the biggest changes that I've noticed so far in terms of the drafting is how teams have essentially elected to now change sides whenever they lose. Not that they didn't do it before, but before the rule of thumb was if you lose game 1 on blue side, you play blue side again, or if you lose game 1 on red side, you take blue side. Now it feels like teams are adapting way more into taking red side. Going for if you lose, you take the red side, you value that counter pick, you value that secondary option, and also the fact that you don't need to ban as many of the stronger champions as you will, especially because the Fearless does allow you to get some help with that. But also, positioning wise in the map can be really, really good, as we see some of the bans coming through from both sides. Similar bans, but also the
Smolder.
The Smolder, yeah, thank you. The Smolder added into the pool. Interesting choice.
That leaves up the Tristana. I like the read to ban the Smolder because they have played this on Mint Gaming's side, and they are... Like, I mean, if you played that game number 1 and you're like, all right, we got to watch out for these guys in the late game team fights, you know, maybe you ban away the Smolder and you do take the Tristana here. So Next Level Esports going to snap that one up. They may be using that for Robbie Bob. They may be giving it to Sagewabe. That'll be a flex pick for them. Mint now with their crack here. Again, Bad does have his full suite of champions available. Big Kindred guy, big Lilia guy. Likes the Nefiri, wants to be on these kinds of carry junglers. I wonder if they give him a shot at one here, especially with his most played, the Xin Zhao, now Fearless off.
I'm kind of curious if they are going to give him the counter pick chance, right? Because if you play Kindred and Lilia, you probably do like to try and get your pick out after the other jungler gets his first. So picking the side here probably goes into that plan. I think that Rakan here is perfectly fine. You have the duo, and you also have another engaged support for PBS that can play him well enough. But instead, opting into picking the Lilia as quickly as possible. So trying to secure that pick like you were mentioning for Bad, especially after the previous game, probably wanting to give him some of his comfort into the play so that he can be as active as possible and also have a lot of impact as well this game. And then on NLE's side, like you're mentioning, Tristana can be a flex. Maybe they opt into a Tristana pairing here. There's a lot of options. They can try and take away the Rakan pairing for the Sai as well. Or the Maokai here. Not a bad choice, actually. Really good gank potential for both bot lane and mid lane. And also can be flex. Technically speaking, this could be a bot lane duo.
It could be. That's true. I think it's an Alcalamity pick for sure. Alcalamity, a big fan of the Maokai support. So definitely not out of the question here. I do wonder if it's worth taking away the Rakan here from Mint to try to prevent that Xayah-Rakan duo from coming on through. It's something that they haven't played too much of. I don't think I've seen a Rakan game out of PBS this season at all, but instead it is just going to be the Victor. That's going to lock that one into mid lane for Robbie, which means it will be Tristana bot for Sagewabe. Mint now can finish off the Xayah-Rakan duo if that is something they value, unless they want a specific counter pick for Ginkle. He is a big Akali enjoyer, and this is a good matchup. Instead, it's going to be the Galio.
So it makes sense in the sense that Galio can be that neutralizer against most mages in the mid lane. You will probably don't have to suffer a lot in a lot of the stages of the game. And then also, if you go for an engaged support, which I would assume Mint probably wants to with how PBS tends to play, or if they think that that Ariana wants to go for something similar to that, maybe a Camille for Ariana as a counter pick here could come through. The Galio Camille combo could be massive. So I think giving Ginkle a little bit more of the back foot and having him more in a supportive role probably makes more sense for how Mint wants to try and play those later team fights, with Ariana being the focus. Now, with the second round of bans, Sion already out, taking away just a facilitator for Alarin makes complete sense. He played the Shen previously, so taking away the Sion, the Ornn, the Cho'Gath even. He's actually, Alarin is one of those players that will bring out the Cho'Gath in the top lane, so could be interesting in seeing if he brings it out. But this game feels like it's setting up for a Renekton. This is a Renekton angle for Alarin, close to 100%.
We'll see. I mean, he's not a big Renekton enjoyer. I've said this about Alorum for forever. This guy's got like...
He's not, but he plays it in so many situations that he probably shouldn't, which is the weirdest part. I've seen multiple games where he just brings out the Renekton because why not, where it could have been an Urgot angle, and it's like, Okay, I guess.
I don't know. This is going to be an Ariana R5 game. I would not mess around with. Wow. So the Rakan just whiffs through picks and bans entirely, by the way. They
Hey, you bring
prefer
it up.
the
It's not a
Leona.
PBS champ.
It's not, but I'm just surprised that it's not even on the table for pairing up with the Xayah, apparently, as he goes for a preferred champion for himself. It's the Leona. This will be his third Leona game this season. Next Level Esports now, to round out their draft, they will decide here. It might be the All Calamity Thresh. There's been, I have heard tales. We have not actually even gotten to see it in ACL yet, but he has drawn 4 different bans on it. Folks fear the All Calamity Thresh. It will be coming through this game. That's going to put Dredo on the Maokai jungle.
Well,
classic for him. And now
Alderaan does play that one as well. But okay, we talked about the Urgot, and I was thinking Renekton, but blindly though.
That's an Alderaan classic.
Yeah, but blinding the Urgot in this situation, I'm surprised. I'm not against it, but I'm surprised that he's blinding it here. And now, Oriana, what do you have as a counter against Alderaan's Urgot?
You know what I really think here, right? So we talked earlier on about Alorum having suffered a wrist injury in the offseason. Yeah. I don't know what his recovery timetable was, but like he just joined an ACL roster like a week ago. So I am assuming he only recently got to start actually playing the game again. And if that's the case, it would explain these 2 drafts, because it feels like Alorum is just playing his like all-time most played champions, which is what you do when you come back and you're rusty. So that might be what we're witnessing here a little bit. He's just picking like some all-time Alorum classics, in which case, good idea to ban that Sejuani. He plays a mean Sejuani top and a mean Poppy top. So Mint Gaming maybe catching on to that a little bit. The answer is going to be the Jace, though, from Ariana. Another powerful top lane carry pick.
And after the last performance, I'm not against Oriana going for the Jace here. That being said, though, the only thing that I'm not like fully convinced on with Mint's composition is that they have the Jace and the Xayah, which are perfectly fine for playing from a distance. The poke is going to be nice and all, but the only way of really finding the Galio ultimate is that Leona. And if the Leona fails in her engage, if the Leona gets picked up and dies, or if the Leona doesn't really find a target and you're not able to commit with the Galio, it can become a little bit difficult, because a big difference compared to something like Nautilus that has the hook to go in when you want to try and go bigger, or like for example with an ultimate or another combo that you want to really commit with. If the Leona kind of fails, you have no alternative to that. Like Jace does not want to jump in blindly like that. The Lydia maybe wants to play with her speed, but you can kind of make the Galio ultimate go in a weird way because of that as well. So if that's the case, this Galio may not find the big ultimate value that you're looking for.
May not. Yeah, it doesn't really have the best of targets to go in on top of, but this is like you said, a neutralizing matchup that Ginkle has put a lot of favoritism towards over the course of the season. I do believe they have won both of their Galio games. Won one versus Prosperity, won another one up against Zero Animosity earlier throughout the season. So they have had good results with the pick, and they have frequently paired it up with these kind of carry junglers. They played it with the Kindred once, which is a classic duo. They also played it once with the Kazakhs, but there was with a Ambessa, so they could kind of be dive buddies there. So this will be kind of the least dive buddy Galio game for Mint Gaming that we've seen this season. But I don't think it is out of the question for it to be able to be effective, especially if Dredo is getting in there for an engage.
It's not impossible for it to be effective. I'm just scared that maybe Ginkle doesn't find the ultimate value that he wants in some of those occasions. That being said, though, the late game team fighting potential is there, like we were expecting, considering what they played in the previous game. And also, you have the potential there to also try and win some instances early on, because if, for example, Ariana dominates early on in the match, he gets a lot of control with this Jace, then you may not even need to get to a later stage of the game, because Ariana can just destroy everyone. The only real tank you have here is the Maokai, and even then, if he doesn't like opt into building really tanky really quickly, then it's going to be pretty easy for Ariana's combos to just melt everyone up here.
Yeah, I mean, that is a big concern for Next Level Esports for sure. I mean, Alorum got the hands from Ariana in game number 1. It was a tough laning phase for him. He gets another tough laning matchup here in the Jace up against the Urgot, and the Urgot going to be a lot less effective at low econ than the Shen was. So if he falls as far behind this game as he did last game, Urgot is not going to be a real champion, and Mint Gaming can just capitalize on that all the way through.
Yeah, also, the shield value comparatively was so big because you have those instances where even some members were about to die, but you have that shield to help you out, and that way you were able to salvage some of the bad situations that were about to happen. So now that that's not going to be an effective case, what alternative can you play with in that situation? Like, you have to be extra careful about the poking potential from Ariana, and then also the immediate engage potential that Mint can bring onto you. But the other big factor that we have to also consider here has to be a bit bad. The previous game, not as impactful. This time around with the Lydium, more damage potential, huge teamfight opportunity with those sleeps. And if he's able to find a teamfight where he can just run around and continuously just deal damage to people, he can be a really pesky champion that can set up Mint for success. But he needs to shake up what happened in the previous game and turn it around.
Absolutely. And yeah, you got to have some faith in these guys to be able to do that. What's interesting about this Mint Gaming team in particular, I mean, both of these teams have played a lot of 3-game series. Next Level Esports played 2 of them against Bikini Bottom Warriors. They played one against the Cal Golden Bears. They were able to win 2 of those and lose 1. They actually went 1-1 in series score, and therefore 3-3 in game score against Bikini Bottom Warriors, dropping out in the second matchup in GSL against them. Meanwhile, Mint Gaming, they've had a lot of series where they have lost game 1 and come back to win game 2. It happened against Prosperity. It happened against UCI. They ended up losing out on both of those series in game 3. And then it happened against Zero Animosity, where they actually came back to reverse sweep. So a lot of game 3 experience for both of these teams. Mint Gaming maybe losing more of those game 3s than they win. But in both cases, clearly teams that have had experience having to go deep into their fearless pools. And that may very well be what happens to them here today if Mint Gaming are able to come up with a win in game number 2.
Hey, if they're able to force it, it's going to be fun for everyone. They're able to bring us to game 3 and try and make it as enjoyable as possible. And if not, they at the very least will try and make it as entertaining as they can. Because that first game was not only chaotic, but it could have gone either way, really. That last team fight, or those 3 last team fights that Mint had, really could have swayed completely the game in their favor. And to a certain degree, it did. It's just the details at the end that really make the difference. And losing that Baron buff making such a huge difference maker as well. Although, and the way that it kind of went, they probably lose the team fight even if they get the Baron buff. So it's not completely on that.
That's true. That's true. So will be interesting to see if we get another 45-minute banger here, or if Mint Gaming or Next Level Esports are able to close out a little bit of a faster fashion. This Tristana for Sage Wabe, something else to keep an eye on. He's played it once earlier this season to a win against Ember Foxes, and the late game reliability of Sage Wabe has been absolutely huge for this team throughout this season. He's had some sick late game Ezreal games, some sick late game Jinx games, and a sick late game Tristana game. So this guy's been a very reliable resource for them to be able to win out later on. And adding Robbie Bob to that as a very experienced control mage player who's also a very reliable late game carry. I mean, the fact that Mint challenged them so much in those later game team fights, super impressive to me. But you've got to almost by default favor Next Level Esports in late game, even team fighting scenarios, just because of how experienced and adept at playing that role these 2 carries are.
Yeah, goes to show that they kind of have that.
I believe the kids call it aura.
Okay, fair enough. I was going to say a sad way of playing the game, but I'll take aura. I think that fits here, and as long as that aura can carry. Well, there is aura that carries you, and then there's aura that is just aura farming. So ideally, you want that to be as effective as possible on the side of Mint, and so far it's worked. Not for a victory, but it's worked.
It has. And I mean, we haven't even talked about All Calamity, rookie superstar All Calamity on his Thresh. This is going to be its first appearance in ACL, and I'm excited for it. I've heard there's a lot of hype around this guy. I've seen a lot of the reasons to have that hype. I think his Maokai has been really, really good. You got to see some really good stuffs of rel engages on the Melio last game. Those are some of his like default picks. But the Thresh is a pocket pick that has been really, really hyped up from this guy that he hasn't gotten to show us yet. I want to see what it looks like in this game. Number 2 could be the X factor here for next level esports. As I hear pings on Summoner's Rift TDS, so I think we are ready to get on to Summoner's Rift. Game number 2 kicking off right now. A win for next level esports will put them in the ACL playoffs.
And everyone is moving out. We're not going to have the same action like in the previous game where there were 5 members going all bot side, but it's going to be a staring contest trying to set everything up for each of the teams. And I understand why this time around there probably is not going to be any sort of big surprise or anything like that. There is a hook champion, and usually with hook champions you always have to be careful about the level 1. Dragowski, you're spotted. I'm not sure if that's on purpose or not, but yeah, he was ambition.
It happened, Dredo. There are Thresh Leona interactions, by the way. You can, with good timing, flay Leona out of a Zenith Blade that she hits onto you. So just another little opportunity there for Alcalamity to do similar stuff to what he was doing on the Ultra Mega Fire Kick crash down interaction.
I hate that name
he can
so
do
much.
a little baby version of that here. I hate that ability name too, my friend.
It's fine. We no longer have to deal with that. At the very least with this series, we don't have to deal with that anymore. As okay, Robbie Bob already winning the war. A little bit of damage already on Ginkle. Also, just quickly to point it out, Ginkle playing with alarm. Okay, trading equally in both lanes, but playing with the summoner, with the changing summoners here, and that was something that was a tiny bit changed in this patch, if I'm not wrong. So going to be fun seeing how much is it going to have an impact or not.
Yeah, I forgot Unsealed Spellbook was even still in the game.
Yeah, so if I'm not wrong, they changed the time that it took to change spells now, and also time that it took to
the base recharge is down by a minute, and the recharge cooldown at maximum swaps is also down by a minute. So you could be swapping every 90 seconds now after you've rotated through enough summoners.
Already working out quite well enough so that you can try and be as impactful with multiple different summoners and even mess around in multiple places, but taking already a lot of damage in the mid lane, actually suffering greatly from those trades, and really good job by Robbie Bob there. Also, I didn't want to mention it much of it, but losing, okay, that was aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good read. If he connects that, he gets Ariana under the turret and probably picks up first blood, but it does not connect, and
now
he does not even have to flash it.
Yeah, but now he's kind of doomed because he doesn't have flash. Ooh.
A little bit.
Okay, nice hook down there at the bot side. So now he doesn't have flash, and he's also against a champion that will put him under turret. So any good trade that Ariana has could end up turning into a soul kill, and then doesn't even get a chance to answer back because there's no flash to try and play around it. Yeah. Also, dives can be much more scarier.
Yes, certainly here. Already a bit of a dangerous dive angle against Urgot when you're Lilia Jace, just because of disdain. But yeah, certainly more dangerous when Alorama does not have flash. Ariana going to keep just harassing him under the turret, though, making good use of that Grasp of the Undying and looking for a solo kill of his own. Wow, Ariana stepping up aggressively, but, you know, playing with the turret aggro super effectively.
Yeah, at the very least, not being forced into a position where he would end up dying, but that's exactly what we're talking about. It's scary because you know that if he walks super forward and you're way too far ahead, you may die here. Ariana takes a turret shot, but this could be just a chance to change weapons and try. Oh wait, Ariana, you're...
Ooh, very close stuff there. Nice flay onto PVS. Alcalamity again making it tough, but the damage is coming through onto this stretch either way. They've made this champ squishier in the early levels over the years. They've really forced him to gather souls to get more armor, and Alcalamity feeling that in that exchange.
Oh, they go in. Oh, wait, but PBS.
But hooked under the turret. Yeah, Alcalamity Thresh. This is what was promised, baby. And now Verticality gonna have to try to fight this one out 1 versus 2. Tries to flash, tries to feather pull, but it's just a double kill to Sage Wabe.
Yeah, gets the kill down there, able to get not only the 1 for nothing, gets a 2 for nothing. 2 kills in favor of Sagewabe down there, and they also blow summoners from Verticality and also PBS Ignite down. That means that they will have the chance to have much more value in their favor.
Yeah. A rough exchange for Mint Gaming. Their Next Level Esports' bot lane coming alive here. These guys can be so explosive on their picks. No pun intended on the Tristana there. And Sage Wabe, now a 2-0 start. Massive for him. Ooh, a flash in from PVS, though. Already trying to get out of the map. It looks like Ginkle, though, maybe wasn't quite ready for it. Maybe didn't have the Justice Punch cooldown. Either way, Robbie Bob's going to just walk away from that one.
Yeah, not going to be enough. I like the chance there, but just like with Alarim's flash attempt, it's not going to pan out into anything big. And Ginkle has to steal this flash, so maybe can try and pull off a play later on. But one thing we haven't really seen as much has having the junglers. Barely any action at all. Both of them level 5 right now, but level 6 may be the timing that we finally see one of them having something to say in the map.
Oh, well, Calamity stepping up menacingly there. I don't know if he chucked out a hook or not, but did not end up connecting anything that time. It is a sizable CS lead top lane for Ariana, but of course that gold lead going to be maintained entirely from the first blood. And second kill, of course.
Yeah, 2 kills. 2 kills which are greatly appreciated for Zaguaba this time around. I did see, oh wait.
Dredo. Verticality,
yeah,
no ultimate
no
yet. He is done for, and this is going to be a 3rd kill. Feat of Warfare to just Sage Wabe.
Yeah, another kill here in favor of Zaguaba. 3-0 Tristana start. Yeah, this is going to be scary for a lot of the members of the side of Mint Gaming, and maybe they want to go for, actually they probably just want to push this wave because it is kind of frozen in a really bad spot for them. But with the move from Ginkle in the mid lane, that means that they cannot force anything more. And actually, this may delay the back from Zaguaba. Although, maybe they look for a play here.
Yeah, it could. It's still all 3 members. Dredo is waiting around in the wings. They did return Ginkle to mid lane. Ariana feels the threat of the disdain, flashes away from that one. And Alarum just going to force out the summoner for free there, as Ariana gets a little too big for his britches.
Yeah, they finally turn it around though. He gets the flash back in his favor and not going to be stopped there. Close out Calamity could have been a little bit scary, but now with the way that the game is going, 3-0 Tristana with essentially 2 components already completed and so much further ahead than Verticality, they can try and play around this Tristana as much as possible for that first dragon. It's still quite early, they can try and collect it, and even though they are not hovering topside, they are looking also to maybe try and contest the Grobs.
Yeah, so hovering around that top side right now is a bit bad. Dredo is here as well, as is all Calamity. Pushing around for some of those hooks. Verticality and Sage Wabe one-on-one. Sage Wabe already level 6, and I think this might just be a solo kill. Sage Wabe 4-0 in the bottom lane.
Yeah, it's enough to get the kill, and this is becoming a problem. I was going to make a joke about how I saw a 2-0 Tristana yesterday not really work out, but this is probably going to be much better than Downflames, to be honest with you. He was playing against mobility, so probably a big difference there, but I'm still salty because I predicted that to be a 2-0.
Yeah, definitely not coming through the way you might have predicted it on that match, but let's see if our 3-game prediction can come true here. Mint Gaming going to need to find a foothold in this one for that to come true. And it's going to be by playing through Ariana up here. They are going to be able to flex that top lane. They get themselves all 3 grubbies. And this is just the first dragon, so Dredo a little later to this one than he was last game. Will be an even trade of the early objectives.
Yeah, the only problem here compared to the previous game with Ariana's, with having to depend on Ariana, right, is the fact that Ariana, at the very least in the previous game, already had a solo kill. This time around, it's 0-0-0. It is quite a head in gold, but then you see the bot side and it's the 4-0 Tristana. So you really are not in equal footing in terms of gold when comparing both carries. And then also, I have to say, Alarum has been doing a great job at making it so that the Jace, it feels a little bit, how to put it, a little bit useless at this point. Obviously, later on, it's where, what?
Wow, all right, well.
What?
Getting a little aggro with it there. Verticality, going to be able to get away with his life. Does have to use the cleanse, though.
That was such a fake hook. Went between 2 minions perfectly, perfectly hitting the Saya on the right spot and blowing the cleanse. And so now Saya once again has
Calamity
no
Thresh, baby. I guess this is what we
looks
promised.
like that. Maybe they were onto something when they said Calamity Thresh is the answer. Actually, do we have a hook counter this game? have we seen how many hooks he has hidden? I've seen all of them hit, but I'm not sure.
There's been moments where I've been guessing on the map that he's thrown them out, but I can't confirm or deny it. I just see him sitting still. Alorum with a flash disdain thinks he's got a solo kill angle here, and he does. Alorum one-on-one against Ariana.
Yeah, remember when we were talking about Hope and Ariana being that Hope? Guess that Hope just died immediately.
That is a rough one here. I mean, the Jace will scale in a little bit. Bad going to commit the ultimate here. Mint Gaming needs something to believe in. They need this kill on Robbie Bob, and it looks like they might just be able to get it. Swirl Seed does it, but PVS is going to end up falling down. Just one more shield to keep him alive. Now Sagewabe dueling with Verticality underneath the turret. Verticality, he's been pushed away. He doesn't have the tower for defense. He doesn't connect the feather pull, and it's another kill to Sagewabe, make that 5.
The saddest part about that death from Verticality is that Sagewabe, I think, actually hit minions like 3 times, and he still gets a kill. That has to hurt quite a lot. And they also, even though they committed so much in the mid lane, it's still a 1-for-1. PBS died, and yes, Robbie Bob didn't get the kill, but it's not the value play that you want to go for when you commit 3 people, and you have members dying in the bot side. You have your Saya dying once again down there in the bot lane, and then Ariana also dying on the other side.
Indeed. Oh, Ariana going to regret that death quite a bit here in the position
going to regret more
to be in. And here comes Dragowski for another play. Nice flash. This time it's a TP from Ginkle. They think they can turn this play around, get themselves on the board here or something. Ariana will get a shutdown here on to Alorum. How is that a shutdown, by the way?
So he just had 1 kill. He's behind in CS. Yeah, he's behind in CS, and he's behind in plates. So not even that is in his favor.
New shutdown rules, man. I get that the new shutdown rules are based on team lead, but I mean, let me say, if I'm Sagewabe and this is a solo queue game, I am furious that Jace just got a shutdown for that. Let me tell you that much.
Yeah. Like, at the very least, make it so that he has to kill me or kill someone that has value. Why is Salarying? I like the Salarying by value.
Oh, no.
I just turned it into an 80 carry at that point.
Oh, man. I just found a dude. I mean, between that and the fact that I didn't even realize that Unsealed Spellbook was still in the game, maybe revealing a little bit about how out of whack my ratio of playing League to watching League is these days. But I mean, wow, that's certainly not bringing me back into this one, Riot. I don't know about that. I don't know about those shutdown rules.
Look, it's not even on if you play the game or not. That summoner was essentially inexistent. Nobody was picking it up. I don't remember the last time I saw it even.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you had asked me 30 minutes ago, is Unsealed Spellbook still in the game, I probably would have said no. Anyway, welcome everybody from AVL who just raided on through. We are here in Game 2 of ACL with a playoff qualification match. Next Level Esports off to a solid early lead as they look to get themselves into that top 16 double elim bracket. Alorum getting collapsed on, though. There's 3 members here. Tredo coming in with the Nature's Grasp, though. Luckily outside of the turret range, but it's a 4 versus 3, and it is doomed for Mint as Next Level Esports will clean house. A double kill to Robbie Bob.
Yeah, that probably was not how they expected that play to go, and it certainly did not turn out in any way how they probably expected it to go. And another kill for the side of NLE. They are 9 into 13 minutes. And yes, 5 kills around the Tristana, but giving 2 kills to Robbie Bob is not good either. That victory is going to become really strong.
Yep. I mean, it's really good to get the kills at this stage too, because it just gives you those extra sparks. Be able to upgrade your abilities all the faster. He was certainly already at upgraded laser, but those couple of kills probably pump him up to the upgraded Q as well. Alorum certainly at risk of just getting dove and killed here.
Maybe dead. I think he's dead.
Oh. Yep, there he goes. Yeah. All right. I mean, I don't know if you can actually defend that one. So all Calamity gonna walk away with another kill. And I mean, we've said it a million times this series, but this is the guy that Mint Gaming needs to be able to come back into this game. He's on a strong pick. He got the R5. He's winning lane. They just need to see some more of that.
No.
Sagewabe is just going to keep doing this to verticality. That's the reset. Here he comes. Feather pull already used. Sagewabe's dominating.
I think that's probably the real life equivalent to stomping a bird, like really hard, because it's multiple times. Yeah, well, she's technically a bird, no?
Sure.
Technically, I think technically speaking, that would be the right way of looking at it. Although if someone wants to correct me, feel free to do it. I won't change it, but feel free to do it.
That's probably what it would look like. I just don't. It's not.
It's probably not. Yeah, it's something that you would never. Yeah. Remember, it's my second language. I think I get a pass with this.
No. I mean, fair. I wasn't thinking that Xayah is a bird, but she is. You're certainly right about that. As there's going to be PVS hooked on in, caught by Dragowski, and should be a cleanup. He's actually staying alive for a very long time, though. There is a TP coming in. This is a Lorum. Ariana
this is much worse.
Flank as well. What can Ariana do with this one? Coming on over. Will finish off Dredo. That's a 1-for-1 to start this off, and it's another shutdown on to the Jace. Now here comes Bad. Has already used the Lilting Lullaby. Walks in to a huge sapling and pulled in. Fear beyond death from a Lorum, and more resets for Sagewabe. It's a double kill to a Lorum on the Urgot. And Mint Gaming are routed.
It's a double kill, and also Urgot, which was kind of disappearing because of those two deaths to Orianna. Oh wait, Verticality, you have no ulti.
Yeah, this is a 3-level disadvantage for the Xayah. Verticality just got to get out of dodge here. Lorum over the wall for a killing spree.
Okay, he was getting tired of just consistently dying up there in the top lane. Now flashing in, gets another kill in Verticality. 0-6 Bird. Yeah, this is not the game for Verticality. I'm sad to see, but it's what it is, I guess, because this game is just being completely dominated by NLE. First turret blood, actually, or no, first turret in favor of NLE finally going down. Weird, considering you have a Tristana in your team.
Yeah, and just Ariana got so much alone time with his.
Yeah.
Ends up picking it up. But yeah, I mean, a 1-9 bot lane for Mint Gaming between the two of them. All Calamity Thresh, Sagewabe, Tristana looking real strong, looking dangerous for next level esports. Something to keep in mind for teams that may end up facing them in the playoffs, assuming that NLE are able to close this one out and or win next week.
Wait, Alarm is really fast.
Yeah, he is hunting on down Ariana. Yomu's Ghost Blade making the difference there and getting a 5th kill into Alorum, who is all of a sudden just like a real champion.
Does Yomu's proc on his ultimate? Or actually, I've got to formulate this better. Is lethality useful on his ultimate? Because I'm guessing that's probably
useful on the upfront damage, because it does do damage when it hits.
Okay, fair enough. So it's probably just to burst them down enough so that he can get the execute much quicker, I guess.
Well, also just like the rest of your damage benefits from lethality.
Yeah, but he's not as tanky now. So maybe that's the counter punch. But he hasn't died since a while ago, so maybe it doesn't really matter. Now, it's really far. I just noticed we're 15-4. With all the deaths that have been happening, I barely noticed the scoreboard. 15 kills in favor of NLE. Looking dicey.
Yeah, I mean, it was looking pretty bad last game as well, right? This is a 5k gold lead. Last game, we got to a 7k gold lead, and Mint were able to pull it back. We're going to need to see some more of that miraculous team fighting out of Mint Gaming, because they certainly don't have Ariana as far ahead this game, and they certainly didn't have Verticality this far out of the game last time. So, eyes on Bad, back on one of his patented carries, and, you know, Ariana, while maybe not as a big of a massive lead, still very dangerous on this Jace. And they do have Ginkle as their kind of tanky frontliner here, so eyes on what they're going to be able to accomplish if they can zero out a Sagewabe or a Robbie Bob. Probably has to be a Sagewabe to be able to find themselves an opening in these games in this team fight.
What would be the biggest amount of gold they probably will get? So it's one of your best bets, and you have a lot of CC. Like, looking at it objectively, they have way too much CC to try and lock down someone. You can use the Leona, you can use the Galio, you can use the Lilia. Like, there's multiple tools that you can go for. The important part is being able to use them as effectively as possible. Also, we didn't touch much on it because of all the chaos as well, but 2 dragons have gone down in favor of NLE. Next dragon is going to be Soul Point, and Cloud Soul, for as much as it's probably not the best combat ability out there, it's going to be useful for them to try and set up a lot of plays. More so for Calamity playing the Thresh, being able to move around the map and getting to certain places, probably going to be more ideal with a Cloud Soul.
Yeah, probably will be. We'll see what they can accomplish here in these earlier stages. Oh, there goes an advance onto Alorum. Lockdown here, 1 versus 3, and that's shutdown gold once again. I say again, I'm malding if I'm Sage Wabe here that was a 350 gold shutdown, but such is life. More gold into mint.
He was 5-3, so I think at the very least he did get more gold in some way, so I think it's fair enough. But it's another kill that they get, and it's also another way of making a comeback into this game. Now, they will lose mid lane turret 1, mid lane turret 2, and potentially bot lane turret 2 as well. Yeah. Wait, Alcalamity's in a horrible spot.
Yeah, well, going to be able to flay back Ginkle here, who is looking for the taunt. Flash Force on All Calamity. Hook connects. That's on the PVS, but there is no follow-up. Sage Wabe going in, trying to blow up Bad on the flank here. Does look like Bad was able to get on out of there, but now here's the re-engaged Dredo. Locks down verticality, nowhere to go. Interrupt on the heroic entrance. PVS trying to lock down Robbie Bob on the side. Alorum arrives with the Fear Beyond Death, and it's just a wipe for Next Level Esports. Bad cannot produce anything in the engagement. A triple kill to Sage Wabe, and no chance to even take the blast cone. He blows up Dredo, but he will fall on the backside. Ariana, the last one alive for Mint Gaming, and he's about to watch his base get destroyed.
Yeah, it's only Ariana against the world. Actually, Robbie Bob going to go for the dragon, so will try and take this objective by himself. But, oh, actually not by himself. But still, another big teamfight victory for the side of NLE, now closer to the 10k gold mark. It's still not yet there, but it's closer than ever now, and they also were able to just push into the base, closer into the base. Not taking down the inhibitor just yet, but being able to be a big threat onto it. And this team is just as scary at this point with all the gold that they have in their favor, but also with the fact that they are not getting killed if they are together. Yes, one pick on the side may have an impact, but as long as they are together, it feels like they are unkillable.
Yeah. And certainly looking very close to it. 9-0-1 for Sage Wabe, 0-0-12 for Calamity. These two are monstrous this game. Just gotten the better of verticality and PVS. And now well set up to be able to close this one out and qualify themselves for ACL playoffs.
Yeah, getting to the next stage. The important part of the initial part of the split is getting to that next point, and they have been doing an amazing job at that.
Be a nice early qualification as well. Not the earliest, of course, but 4-2. Not a bad record at all, and does get you ahead of all the teams that won't qualify until Monday. So gets you a decent middle of the pack slot on the bracket, as Ginkle is getting caught on out here, but Bad is here for the backup. These are not the strongest members of Next Level Esports, but the strongest members of Next Level Esports are now here.
Yep.
Heroic entrance comes on across, does connect on a Sage Wabe, but just delays the inevitable for a second, as Fear Beyond Death connects for Alorum. And Next Level Esports get themselves number 20 and Otacon number 1.
I don't think we're going to see any other Anakin anymore. So yeah, the Anakin going to fall there. The other another kill into their pockets. Robbie Bob just going to escape, walking, not even having to use the flash because he doesn't even have that. Oh, wait.
No, diving a Robbie Bob here. I mean, you got to start to make some desperate plays at this stage. The stun on Ariana, though, I think means this is cooked. Robbie Bob, 1 versus 2, double kill underneath the turret. And that's why you picked up this guy when you're looking to make your late series playoff run.
Yeah, verticality is escaping at the least.
I do not think he... Oh, maybe not. He didn't clear the wall.
It's fine.
Verticality's out of there.
Yeah, just like that, they get more kills. It's funny because the game is essentially close to being over, but because of how it's going with some of the kills still going close to each side, maybe it can turn around still. Alarim able to flash really well there, and also they have push in the mid lane and in the bottom, but they cannot take. They can, I think. Oh no.
Yeah, Calamity yanks him out of there with.
It's great having a Thresh, right?
The Dark Passage. Yep. I mean, it's been a while. It's been a while since gotten to see a lot of Dark Passage usage. I really hope that this becomes just a huge pick for Calamity in however long Next Level Esports' run lasts through ACL. I love to see this champion.
Yeah, it's gonna be really fun seeing it come back into the meta. If it can come back into the meta, and also if Calamity can make it a signature pick, because I do remember, like, I'm not sure when it was, but I did remember watching one of Cryogen's games with a Thresh, and it was great. So if the young support players pick up more of these champions, which originally were the mechanically ones, right? The mechanically support was Thresh, so I enjoyed watching it, and hopefully we get more of it. And Blitzcrank as well, just personal desire there.
For sure. So, Baron likely on the menu here before too long. That'll be where Next Level Esports look to really crack this game open and get themselves the siege out of the base that they need. Ariana still doing well in this one-on-one, but just hasn't really been able to convert it into the sort of lead that he had on the Ambessa in game number 1.
I'm not sure you can convert it anymore here.
No, I mean, Mint just hoping for a miracle here, right? Hoping to be able to find some kind of pick, take that into a team fight, and yank themselves right back in. They did find that in game number 1, right? That was that big rel engage for PVS. It would have to be a huge sleep or something here, but it's looking like this Baron is just going to get taken down uncontested. Valorum going to get collapsed on by 3 members here as the Baron falls. There's the Solar Flare out in the middle of nowhere for PVS just to cover all escape routes. And Mint Gaming will get a kill here, and they will get a second tower for a nice little injection of gold.
I think that's probably the best that they could have hoped for. Nobody dies, you get a kill, you get a turret plus bounty, so you reduce the gold quantity by a little bit. You still are not completely back into the game, and Baron buff is going to be scary with a Tristana, but you want to take as many advantages as you can, and also, importantly, you want to take away the advantages that NLE has, and denying one Baron buff is always going to be really, really valuable. Now, also trying to play close to your base is going to be good for them, because they need to find ways for verticality to get minions, to get farm. And the best way to accomplish that is by being as safe as possible near your base, as Dragon looks to be the next fight. It is so, but it's also a moment where Alarum is dead, although 3 seconds for him to come back.
You know, working on this Dragon, they might be able to melt it down in time here. So they do successfully claim it. It's an objective bounty, and it does stop the soul stacking. But now there's a fight. Here's Bad going in, looking for the triple sleep, but it will be cleansed away from it. Now here's going to be Ginkle jocking up multiple members. 4-man taunt. Ariana in, desperately trying to find the kills. They get 2, but 2 is where it will stop, and it's an ace for Next Level Esports. A triple kill to Robbie Bob as his Chaos Storm grows ever larger. 27-9 on the scoreboard, and this might just be it, PBS. TDS.
Yeah. It's not convenient having PBS in the same game as
it's tough, dude.
But it's fine, I can take it. PBS is a good production friend of ours, but it's not looking bright for his team this time around. They are not going to go to finish the game. The timers are still not that far in yet. If they had Zagawaba, they probably finished, but Tristana was killed, and the most positive part is that that kill went onto Rihanna. So you get a big shutdown onto the case. That's the most positive thing ever.
Yeah, it really is. So, a nice start here for Next Level Esports, looking to make their journey into the ACL playoffs. Looking like they should be able to do it if they just get one more fight. I'm surprised they weren't able to close off that last one. So Mint getting one more angle into this one, but they do manage to crack open the base. Ariana finding 3, maybe not the 3 he was hoping for, and everybody's got to back away.
No. Can they though?
Ginkle taking a big chunk of damage, down to about half. Will be able to get away. Does have to use the Ghost. That's only 90 seconds until he can get another one back. Hope from Calamity, though, into the stasis, trying to buy time for the rest of the team to be able to get up here. Stays alive for quite a while.
Much better.
Going to be able to buy a little bit of space. Shock blast on Asage Wabe takes him so low. Ariana smells blood, looking for a chance to take down the Tristana. But Sagewabe plays it responsibly, gets out there safely. But this is a good chance. It's 5 versus 4, no Tristana. Mint Gaming not going to get a better shot than this. but they need to be able to find an angle
Flash.
in here. Ariana coming in on the side. There's the Zenith Blade onto Robbie Bob. Shock Blast connects. Here's
Perfect.
for the backup. Diving forward is Ariana. Fear Beyond Death connects on a bad. He's taken down by Alorum, who is rampaging through the back line. Featherbolt going to be able to take one out. PVS going to fall on the opposite side. Ginkle pulling away 3. And even this fight is in the perfect situation for Mint. Just ends up with them losing it 3-1.
They just killed the Vidvad way too quickly. Didn't have time to pop ultimate. Actually, no ultimate used by the Lily in that situation. That was a huge fear beyond that. And even though Sagawabe was not in position, it was just simply way too perfect for the side of NLE to not take advantage of. Now Robbie Bob is back. Robbie Bob is back here. They have Sagawabe as well, and oh, Ariana is dead.
Yeah, there is everybody melting into the might of Sagewabe. This is why it was so critical that he was taken out earlier. It's an ace to Next Level Esports. It is a 2-0 sweep for Next Level Esports. Welcome to the ACL playoffs.
Yeah, fully deserved. Played amazingly well. First game, there was a little bit more competition from the side of Mint Gaming, but on the second game, total and utter domination. Sagawabe 4-0 start into just dominating the game, and everyone just finding kills here and there, finding multiple plays. The least amount of damage makes sense that it's a Maokai, but then you can see the rest of the members, 30k, 32.9, 29k, all of the members from NLE doing as much as they could, and Ariana tried. Similar to the previous game, he tried.
Indeed, he did try. Big game from Alorum here on the Urgot, especially coming back from what was a really regrettable Shen performance in game number 1. Really nice performance up against Ariana here. A really, really strong carry top laner here in the league. Alorum flexing that he's still got it. Can still go toe-to-toe with some of these guys when he gets his matchups right. Robbie Bob and Sagewabe. We highlighted these two carries, and these guys came to play in game number 2, just shutting Mint Gaming out.
Yeah, they did their job in a really amazing manner, and they pulled off what they needed to do to be able to win this game. Now, it's all going to be the next stage for NLE, what they can accomplish at playoffs. We still have to wait and see who they're more than likely going to be facing, but qualifying at this point gives them a little bit more rest time and also a better chance at having a better seed, which can be important considering some of the higher up teams.
Yeah, it really can here. So Next Level Esports qualify playoffs. Another one in Robbie Bob and Alorum's belt. These guys, we called it out earlier. I still believe it is true. Both of them have made every ACL playoffs that they have ever, or for every ACL they've participated in, they have always made playoffs, and that will not break here. They, in fact, get here a little earlier than they did last time. It really came down to the wire with peak performers last time, but this time they will, in fact, be there, and they will once again be looking to make one of those deep runs. We're going to have Sagewabe on for an interview here in just a moment. We're going to throw it to a quick break while we get everything set up with him. Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the ACL, where we are joined by the victorious Sage Wabe off of Next Level Esports. Congratulations, you guys have qualified now for ACL playoffs in the 4-2 bracket. Welcome to playoffs, Sage Wabe.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So want to start things off with talking about this squad. You guys have been playing together with most of this core for pretty much the whole of 2025 now. You're going to play under the Gravity banner this weekend with pretty much the same squad except for Kitsuo in the jungle, if I'm not mistaken. How does it feel to get to play with the same squad coming into multiple open qualifiers, and you guys feel like you're kind of developing together after a split of play?
I think it definitely brings like a really nice like level of comfort because like you said, I've been playing with like Robbie and Lorum and Alk for entire like year basically, and then with Quidso I played I think 2 ACLs or 1 ACL ago. So like I'm very familiar with all these guys' like playstyles, and it's always nice playing with more of like the veteran players. So it helps me to like guide my playstyle and like help me kind of grow, and it's a good time.
Yeah, and speaking of playing with veterans, I'm kind of curious where I'm putting this because technically speaking, you were like the newer one before, but with more playtime, you're now not a veteran, but you have your hours behind you. Like you're more accustomed to the scene, to put it like that right now. And I'm kind of curious how your outlook is different from when you started out in some of the teams, even being just a sub, to like now being one of the potential starting members in one of those teams that is looking to try and fight promotion and things like that, not only in ACL but in ACL Aegis as well.
I think my outlook has like changed very vastly because when I first entered like the scene, I was always like very nervous and like very scared of making mistakes. But now it's kind of like I see it as like learning opportunities, and like if I just kind of limit test on scenarios, then I can like always learn from it, even if I mess up. Especially like game one, for example, when I tried to kill the enemy team 1v3 before the Elder. It was just kind of like a limit test, and it gives me an opportunity to like look back at the VOD and learn.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So let's talk about your support right now. All Calamity getting to bust out his Thresh for the first time this season in this last series. A relatively newer player to the scene. You've been playing for maybe a year or two now. What's it like introducing him kind of to the higher tier of competitive play, and how's he been adjusting?
I think it's been a pretty smooth and good time. He's very like adaptive to the situations that we're in, and like he's very willing to learn rather than like being very hard stuck on an ideal. So it's always like a good conversation between me and him on like macro or micro. And from like since starting playing with him like till now, he's grown a lot in terms of micro and macro, and it always like helps to show like a very steady increase in like performance rather than being hard suck and like not be on the same page at all times.
And getting that sort of vibe that you're improving consistently is always going to be great. And I'm kind of curious, with that in mind, like where is the ceiling that you see for this team, or what is the expectation that you see for this team? Because it has had quite a few like pieces moving around here and there, but overall it's a strong roster, like just based off name value alone. And if it can play like the second game against most teams, it should be really unstoppable. So I'm kind of curious where you see the team ceiling being, and if it really is just trying to be the best you can, or if it's just being champion.
I think our ceiling is extremely high. Like whenever we're playing at like our top performances, everyone's locked in, everyone's calling everything out, then we can aim for championship.
All right, all
Sure.
right. So that sounds like going to be a big goal to try to reach, but we're looking forward to seeing how you guys are going to be able to perform. Do want to give the last word to you before we wrap up for the night. Anybody you want to shout out? Anything you want to say to those who are still tuned in at home?
Just shout out to the team for the most part. It's always a pleasure jumping in a call and playing games with them, and it's always good practice, good times, good vibes.
Great stuff. All right. Well, pleasure to have you on, Sage Wabe. Good luck this weekend and good luck in the ACL playoffs kicking off next week. I'm sure this is not the last we will see you in this squad, whether it be under the Gravity banner or the Next Level Esports banner. Thank you to everybody at home who's tuned on in. We are going to close things out for the week, but that is going, well, not for the week, I guess. We're going to be back on Monday for the 3-3 qualification matches. We will have matches every Monday from here on out. Will be lower bracket Mondays for the ACL playoffs, which do, of course, kick off a week from today. So you're not going to want to miss those, and we will see you there twice a week until the league is done. Best of luck to all of our ACL teams competing in OQs this weekend, and we will see everybody back here on Monday. Shout out again to Zen Market. Remember, that is code Aegis to get 1,000 yen off your first international shipping fee. For myself, TDS, and Caddy on production, have yourselves a great night.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。